Good evening, everyone. Hey, we are live. This is the Confident Autistic live stream. I am the Confident Autistic. It is Thursday, September 25th, 2025, 6 p.m. Central Time. If you're joining us live, welcome. Yes, we're back. We've been a little hiatus. Here I am. I'm on camera now. Ooh, that's bright. Let's see if I can adjust that. There we go. Uh, we'll live with it. Okay. All right, we're back. And let me do something here. Hold on. Uh-huh. Okay, there we are. All right, we are live. I had to turn off something on the computer, but we're live. Welcome in. This is a very special, the Confident Autistic live stream. We normally, and there's a policy here to stay away from politics because we know it's very divisive and it's a great way to lose at least 50% of the audience. And so we're not going to politicize. I don't know if that's a word. Make this about politics tonight, but we are going to talk about what's been in the news tonight, this week actually. The Tylenol autism connection, which is really a myth, and we're going to expose that. Some other common myths that have come along over the years, and for us to get started here, let me first, for those who are new here, welcome and say hello in the chat if you can. Let me explain the chat a little bit here. It goes a little bit different than normal weeks. I know this can become a political topic, okay? And I don't want it to be. We lost audio. We did. Let me figure this out. Hold on. Let me figure this out. We may have a problem. I had a feeling that happened when I bumped it. Okay. Still trying to work on this here. We have an audio issue. We're gonna be okay, now it's back. It's back. I think it's back. The delay here. I'm checking the delay. I pumped the microphone and I think I knocked everything out of alignment. There we go. Okay, we got the audio issue fixed. Okay, I got it. I got it. Okay. I got carried. Sometimes they move around so much. I hit the microphone. I knock things out of alignment, but that's okay. We're good here. Let me get back to what I was saying here. This is where we are. We are going to be discussing this topic tonight, the Tylenol autism connection, which is actually a myth, as I mentioned. And we have the chat set up that you need to be a subscriber for at least 5 minutes before you can participate in the chat. Not because I want to be controlling, it's just that I want to make sure this does not get into a conversation where we are uh, having fights in the chat over politics. Because I'm really big on not bringing politics into the mix here, because I know that's a great way to lose subscribers, lose viewers. So, just please bear with me with that. Okay, so we got that all straightened out. For those that are new here, I am the Confident Autistic. I know I did a lot of marketing on this. I would not be surprised if there's some first-time people here. Welcome. Let me explain the channel real quickly, then we'll get into tonight's topic. But about a year ago, I went through the process and I became diagnosed as a late diagnosed autistic adult. I know that's redundant, but it's the truthful statement. And it really connected with me. And I want to keep the long story short here. But so I started the channel to help share my experiences and help others who are late diagnosed autistic adults discover, develop, and grow their confidence with the new identity. So that is where we are on this. Let's see, what else did I want to say? So this that what the channel is about. We do videos here to help you understand autism and to help you build confidence. And we'll be launching a podcast, which I'll talk a little bit later in this video. But without any further ado, my eye itches. Without any further ado, let's get into tonight's topic and start breaking down these myths. Now, there's more than just the myth of Tylenol that has been debunked over the years, but us get right into this. So, I am Chris, the Confident Autistic, and tonight we are diving into something that's been causing a lot of conversation and honestly, a lot of pain in the autism community. The claim that moms who took Tylenol during pregnancy cause their children to be autistic, or for those of us who are late diagnosed autistics, is causing us to wonder, did our moms take Tylenol? Was that the reason? And causing our parents to question themselves and shifting the blame of what caused autism onto the mom, which is really not a fair blame. Not, at least not in my opinion. It's not a fair blame. Okay. Now this isn't the first time. When I say this, I mean having a Tylenol autism theory. This isn't the first time we've had a theory that seeing something like this throughout history. There have been all kinds of theories about what causes autism, and almost all of them have been wrong. Now, tonight, we're going to look at this Tylenol claim in the bigger picture by walking through some of the most harmful and debunked theories about autism and how these myths have affected not just parents, but also autistic adults like you and me, especially those of us diagnosed later in life. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing tonight. And let's start off by addressing the pattern of blame. Now, there's one thing all of these theories, and I'm going to run through the theories a little bit later, but all of these theories, every theory that has came up that has been debunked about the cause of autism, if there's been one thing all of these theories have in common, it is this. They tend to blame the parents, especially mothers, or they focus on lifestyle choices, diets, or technology. The result from all of these blame, people feel guilt, they feel shame, they feel stigma, and wasted time chasing the wrong answers instead of focusing on supporting autistic people like you and me. And for late diagnosed autistic adults, these myths leave a lasting mark. Many of us grew up believing something was wrong with us, or worse, that our parents were to blame. These stories serve how society, or shape that is, these stories shape how society sees us and how we see ourselves. That's why these myths are not just wrong, they are harmful. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into it by going into some of the debunked theories that have come out over the years. And I would say the first one that came out, and I don't have these in chronological order, but this is the one I think is the oldest one out there. I could be wrong. It's the refrigerator mother theory. Now, back in the 1950s, autism was blamed on so-called refrigerator mothers, cold, unloving moms who supposedly caused their children to withdraw. We now know that autism is neurodevelopmental, not caused by parenting, but the damage was huge. Generations of mothers carry guilt for something that was never their fault. And for autistic adults diagnosed later in life, it often means growing up in homes clouded by blame and silence. So maybe our parents kind of suspected something was wrong. We didn't get tested. We didn't know. Like in my case in the 70s, we did not even know we did not know as much as we do about autism, which is one thing I want to stop down and mention here real quickly. And that is that, a lot of people are saying we have a epidemic of autism, and it's getting out of hand. It's growing. It's exploding, and I don't think it is. Okay, I think we're seeing larger numbers and increased numbers both in children and adults because we understand autism better. Okay, and we have a better criteria and diagnostic tools and criteria to receive the diagnosis of autism, and that's why it's growing. Now, these are some of the things that I think is what's happening, and as adults, and we have late diagnosed, and we've hit, we're discovering the autism. Well, we're not discovering it, but I mean, we're learning about it, and we learn about the history of it, and we start, reading up on it. We find these theories, not knowing if they're true or not, and we think refrigerator moms, and we start thinking, did my parents do this to us? I'm going to tell you something, okay? A true story about me. In 2002, I went in for, and this does have a point to it, so stick with me with this, okay? In 2002, I went into the hospital for a cardiac procedure. I have a constricted aorta, had an ascending to descending aortic bypass. Now, excuse me, sometime between the time I climbed under the table in pre-op and woke up in the CVICU, I managed to survive an ischemic stroke to my spinal cord. And there was a period in my life I want to know why it happened. Well, after spending some time trying to figure that out, I realized something. Knowing why it happened wasn't going to change it. And I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was focusing on trying to figure out what went wrong, who to blame, was I at fault, all of this stuff. Instead of being focused in on what I needed to, is to learn to live with it and overcome it. And if we get into this pattern of wanting to find blame for autism, then we're not spending, and this is my opinion, we're not spending our energy in the right spot on how to live confidently while living on the spectrum. So the blame game really never works. It does not solve anything. It just doesn't. I mean, I think scientists need to look into this. As for anything, I mean, we should find causes for cancer, whatever it is, so we can try to prevent this in the future. And that also gets into a controversial topic because uh, there's some people in the spectrum, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later tonight, who don't want to get cured. My wife and I were talking about this the other day about what if there's a cure for autism. And I said, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't know how to function in this world without my autism because it's so much intertwined into me. And my wife said something to me like, I can't imagine you being able to function without your autism. So I don't want to be cured. Okay. I just don't. I just want to understand myself better. And I would like to help the world understand autism, um, and what it's like for people that are on the spectrum. And I want the world to know that when you meet one person with autism, you have met just one person with autism. And that's what I would like to do in my life, and that's why we do this channel. Okay, another theory that's been debunked is vaccinations in autism. In the 1990s, Andrew Wakefield falsely claimed that the MMR vaccine caused autism. His study was fraudulent and had been retracted, but the myth stuck. It fueled the anti-vaccine movement, caused preventable disease outbreaks, and made many parents fear life-saving vaccines. Autistic adults like me often hear this myth used as if we were a problem to be avoided instead of people to be valued and loved. Yeah, in fact, I still meet people today who believe in the vaccines cause their child to have autism. That has been debunked, but because this belief was expressed, it's caught on, it's got traction, it's it's um it's still valid in some people's minds. It shouldn't be, but it is. So while we're here, I know there's a little bit of a delay, and I'll keep an eye on the chat here. What are you of the two theories I mentioned so far? Refrigerator mom or vaccines causing autism? Have you heard of these? And how do you feel about these kind of what we know are myths about it? How much have they harmed you? Have you believed them for a while? And if so, did that make you feel guilty, or do you think it made your parents feel guilty if they knew it? Because whatever happens in life, blaming someone doesn't fix it. Sometimes it makes us feel better, but it does not fix the problem. What fixes the problem is us understanding it and us learning to live with it, and society being more embracing instead of judgmental. All right, the third theory that I like to mention that's been debunked is thimerosal mercury. And that first was a little bit tough for me, but it's okay. Then came the idea that mercury in vaccines caused autism. But when thimerosal was removed from most vaccines, autism rates kept climbing. That proved there was no connection. Yet the idea of us being poisoned by something lingered, and many late diagnosed autistic adults grew up feeling defective rather than different because of this theory and other theories like this. Okay. Uh, I mean, they removed it, but the race kept climbing. Therefore, that rules out that theory, doesn't it? Can't blame it on that now, can we? Another theory that has came up is gluten and casein-free diets. Now, before we get into this, and I'm going to mention in this section, many of us, not me, but many of us on the spectrum have a limited diet that we can be a part of. Okay, and so we're not judging that, and some people have to be in gluten-free diet for various reasons. But let's just dive into this myth that these kind of diets causes autism. Now, some claim removing gluten or dairy would cure autism, while some autistic people have food sensitivities, which I mentioned earlier. Studies show that these diets don't treat or cure autism. Why? Because autism is a neurological issue, okay, that cannot be cured by diet. Families often spent money and caused stress over something that wasn't evidence based. When evidence based for autistic adults. Now, when I have a conversation or my wife has a conversation with our primary care physician or any of our specialists, and we bring up something we saw on the internet, they always want to find evidence based research. And that's what we need to be looking for when we look for theories or causes or treatments. We want to find evidence based, not the latest theory that, some guy standing in front of a podium has come up with. We want to find something that is backed up by evidence based research. Okay? Uh, Now, this theory about, diets reinforced the idea that we needed to be fixed by what we ate instead of accepting us for who we are. Our diets are not going to change our autism. Hey, it could make us healthier. Let's be honest, okay? My diet is probably not the ideal diet for anyone. Junk food, junk food, junk food. And up until recently, my cholesterol level was really, really normal, but now it's a tad bit high. I'm on cholesterol pills now. Okay. It is a shocker, right? But yeah, and it can help us with weight and all. But our diet has no impact on our autism unless, because of some digestive issues, unless your doctor prescribes your diet, because there are some people who do have digestive problems that are on the spectrum. But as far as a diet curing or fixing or making autism less severe, that's hogwash. Now, another theory that has been around, that has been debunked, is heavy metals and chelation. Now, this myth claimed autism was from heavy metal poisoning, and people tried chelation therapy to detox their kids. Maybe even ourselves, we tried that as adults. Not only did it not work, it was dangerous. Children have even died from this pseudoscience. Autistic adults carry the scars of being seen as broken and experimented on instead of supported. Another theory that's been debunked and is a dangerous one. Not only the theories that people come up with that are not evidence based, wrong, emotionally harmful, by making us feel bad about ourselves or our parents blaming ourselves, etc. These theories, some of them can be very dangerous, life threatening. This is why you really want to follow evidence based research on the topic or any health related topic. Okay, not just autism, any health related topic. Another theory that has been floated around is parental age. Now, there is some correlation between older parental age and autism, but correlation doesn't mean causation. Age doesn't cause autism. Now, I know that there are some cases when the mom is older, I think over 40, there's a higher risk for Down syndrome. Okay, I know I've read that from credible sources. But in this case, when we're talking about autism, uh, there's some correlation, there's some connection, but it doesn't mean it's an actual cause. There's a coincidence. It's not a cause. It's just, I guess you could say the higher. I don't really want to use the word risk because that makes it sound like a disease or an illness, and autism is not that. A higher occurrence of autism when a person is born or the parents or mother was older in life when they were born. Age doesn't cause autism. It's just one of many factors that may slightly influence the likelihood of autism. Still, this theory became another excuse to treat autism as a mistake rather than a difference. Autism is not a mistake. Now, I know not everyone's a person of faith. I am, which is fine if you're not. But God does not make mistakes. And we were made this way for a reason and a purpose. And I believe that. I believe everything happens in life for a reason. And we, there's expression, God does not make junk, God does not make mistakes. And it's true. It's not a mistake being autistic. It's just the way that we are because we are unique individuals and we bring a perspective to the world that the world actually needs. Another debunked theory, and we're getting close to talking about Tylenol. I just want to go through the history first, so stay tuned. We're going to get to the Tylenol part in a moment. Screens and tech. And I'm talking about screens like monitors, TV screens, that kind of thing, and other technology. Ever heard the one that iPads or too much TV causes autism? Nope. Autism has been around long before smartphones. It's developmental, not environmental like that. But these claims fueled panic and made autistic adults feel blamed for technology that had nothing to do with who we are. Heck, I love technology. I grew up, my parents put me in front of a TV. Before I was 6 months old, my dad went out to Sears and he was going to get a saw. It was on June 6, 1966, and he was going to get a saw. And he came back with the family's first color TV, and they put me in front of the TV. I was born with cataracts, and we believed that color TV would stimulate my eyes and make my eyes stronger. So I loved television. I don't care for it now. TV's crap today, but I love TV. I watched it a lot. I love technology, but that did not make me autistic. It's just the way I was wired when I was born. And there was nothing wrong with that wiring. Just, I see the world differently. Than the world needs people like you and me who are late diagnosed autistic adults. Another theory has been trauma or bad parenting. Another harmful myth is that autism comes from trauma or bad parenting. Trauma may affect how autism traits show up, as trauma can affect anybody, whether they're on the spectrum or not. But trauma doesn't cause autism for late diagnosed autistics. This myth is especially painful. Many of us grow up believing our struggles were the fault of bad parenting, when in reality, we were just autistic kids trying to navigate the world without support. I want to share that again. Many of us grew up believing our struggles were the fault of bad parenting, when in reality, we were just autistic kids trying to navigate the world without support. I always thought I was a bad kid because I got into a lot of trouble, okay? And I wasn't a bad kid. I was just trying to navigate life without any support and not knowing how to communicate what I was feeling because I did not even understand it. Now, before we get into the Tylenol claim, I'm going to pop over here to my other screen. Let me pull this up here. And I'm going to see what's coming in the chat. So bear with me one moment here. Uh, all right. First of all, Peekaboo, thank you. I haven't seen you in a while. I've been worried about you, been wondering. I was hoping everything's going for you, and thank you for the kind words. And Trish, hi, thank you for joining. This is also going to be available in archive once it's done. And you know, the part that you missed, you can watch a little bit later. So yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. So let's get into, before we get into the reason why we are here, I do want to do what I would call a little tiny commercial. As I mentioned earlier in this video, if you weren't here, this channel is all about living life confidently as a person with autism, late diagnosed autistic adults. Now, I would love to have your help. And the way I'd like you to help me is this. I would like to ask you to take a moment to click on the like button. That helps the algorithm so more people will find this video, not only when it's live, but when it's being watched back. I'd like you to share it with anyone that you know that this may be beneficial to. Share it on your social media wall, Facebook, Twitter. Well, okay, they call it X. I can't call it X, okay? It's just me. But when I see that black background with that white X, I'm thinking, this is not a good family friendly site. But you can share it on LinkedIn, you can share it on Instagram, wherever you want to share it, whatever. Tell people about it. But the most important way you can help this channel grow is by hitting the subscribe button. Yes. And when you hit the subscribe button, look for that bell. Okay, not a loud bell. It's sensory friendly. It's going to be calm. It's going to be cool. You click on that, and when new videos are posted or when I go live, you will get notified so you don't miss a live event or be late to it. We don't like lateness. Tardiness is frowned upon. It was frowned upon in school. It's frowned upon here too. But we still welcome you and we still love you. Now, let's get into the big news story of the week, the Tylenol claim. The claim that taking Tylenol while the mom is pregnant causes autism, which in two words is bullshit. We don't cuss here. Anyway, I think you know what I mean. It's bunk, okay? This is today's topic. The big headline, Tylenol use in pregnancy causes autism. Now, the claim is that mothers who use Tylenol cause their children's autism. But here's the fact. No solid scientific evidence supports this. Autism, primarily genetic, and while environment can play a role in how traits are expressed, no single medication has ever been proven to cause autism. Now, I want to focus in on this part here. While environment can play a role in how autism traits are expressed, what that means is the environment does not cause autism. We have autism, but the environment will kind of help form how we express and show those autistic traits, okay? And how that grows. So, like having a plant. If you have a plant outside, like, I don't know much about plants, okay, but have it outside in a climate that helps it thrive, it's going to grow. If you put it into an environment or climate which is not a natural climate for that plant, it's going to struggle growing. It's going to have deformities. It's going to be short. It's going to be whatever. It's going to be slouching. It's not going to thrive. So our environment, all of us, whether we're on the spectrum or not, react to our environment. And many of us react to our environment differently. Well, all of us do. No two people react to it the same, uh, at least identically the same. So our environment will maybe help form how we respond to the world with our autism. Because you're mixing autism and environment, and it's sort of like, mixing two ingredients into a meal. Different proportions of different ingredients are going to react differently. Or like in science and chemistry. I was not good at chemistry. Thank God I did not blow up a school building, but I was not good at chemistry. But yeah, this is bunk. This whole entire thing about Tylenol causing autism, it's just bunk. Now, this claim that Tylenol or the use of Tylenol during pregnancy is just the latest in a long line of theories that end up blaming mothers. And that is harmful. Whether we blame mothers or whomever, blaming does nothing. It makes people feel bad who are being blamed. And the only thing that comes out of it, in my opinion, is a false sense that we, the person doing the blaming, that we are superior and better. And we're not. We're all equal. We're all the same. This is important. Don't blame. Blame does not solve anything. I hate the blame game. Okay? It blame fuels guilt, creates fear, and distracts from what really matters. Supporting autistic people for late diagnosed autistic adults, it reinforces the false, emphasize this word here, false story that our very existence is a mistake instead of a natural part of human diversity. This is a part of life. This is part of who we are. This is part of our humanity, being autistic. And we should embrace that. Don't blame people, okay? Because that blame's not going to change anything. It's a horrible thing. We're blaming people and all. And like I said in the beginning, I want to stay away from politics, okay? But there's just a couple of things I like to touch on related to this news that came out this week. First of all, I understand that children are our future, and we should do everything we can to support our children and make their lives as easy and as enjoyable as we can. So when they grow up, they have fond, healthy childhood memories. Because what we do with the children today, these are going to be the adults that will be taking care of us when we get older. That's kind of scary at times, but it is the truth. Okay. So I do understand that, and I have a great empathy for kids. Okay, but there are people who are battling cancer or any other life-threatening diagnosis. People who are dying from life-threatening diagnoses, including cancer, including children. And I really think people can live with autism. We can't always live with life-threatening diagnoses and conditions. We should be focusing in on finding solutions to diagnoses and diseases, etc., that can take human life. Human life is so precious. It's one of the most precious things for me. I don't understand why people get angry, why people shoot, why people kill, why all of this. Life is precious, and we should prioritize finding cures for these devastating diseases that affect both children and adults, instead of trying to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be understood and it needs to be accepted. If you agree with me with that, say so in the chat. Love to hear. If you disagree, I'm open minded. Like to hear that you disagree and why. Love to hear your thoughts on that. That we really should be prioritizing treating and diagnosing and curing life-threatening illnesses more than something that just needs to be understood. And that's where we need to be. We need to share with the world that we're autistic, help people understand it, and have more people accepting of it. I go out in public all the time. I'm wearing an autism shirt. I don't think you can see it today. I'm wearing an autism t-shirt. Every time I go out in public, I wear something autism related. I always have my wristband on, etc. And it has started so many conversations where I got to share my autism with people. And that's what we need to do. We need to get understanding of autism. And in a moment, I'm going to check the chat right now, and then I'm going to talk about the real story of autism. So let me take a peek over here. Okay, I couldn't agree with you more. Awesome. I'm getting feedback here. This is super. All right. The real story of autism. Let's go into it. Here's what's real. Autism is a natural, lifelong neurotype. A friend of mine shared something he saw on Facebook. I think it was Facebook. Pretty sure it was Facebook. Yeah, it was Facebook. A post that somebody made and asked me, knowing that I'm autistic, my opinion of it. And I gave him a very detailed response. But one of the things I said in this is, and my response to him was this. The weird thing about autism is this. It is a neurological disorder that is treated not by neurologists, but by psychiatrists and the like. And because that is the way it's treated, we see autism, some of us see autism as a mental health crisis. Now, I'm not saying we should not get treatment and see a counselor or a therapist and all, because whether you're autistic or not, people need that in their lives. I probably should be seeing a counselor. I just don't know what to say to a counselor. I really don't. I know I should. I just don't know what that conversation looks like. It's one of the things I don't know what to say, and I just climb up and I just don't say anything. Um, but yeah, it's great if we do. But because society sees autism being treated primarily by psychiatrists and psychologists, they instantly think, this is my opinion, they instantly think that it's a mental health issue, a mental health crisis, like suicide or depression or the list can go on. And some mental health conditions are very serious that need a lot of help, and we need to find solutions to them. Autism is not a mental health issue. It's a neurotype. And we often receive support from counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, and mental health support because we anxiety is common for autism. Depression can be. It's challenging. Life is challenging for all of us. And there's no shame in getting a little bit of help when you need it. But because people see that it's treated not by a neurologist like epilepsy might be, but is treated by a mental health professional, they go to the point, we need to find a cure. We need to fix this. We need to stop this from happening. It's just a natural evolution of life, people. That's all it is, okay? Uh, what we need is understanding. As I've been saying throughout this video, we need understanding. We need acceptance and supports that help autistic people like you and me thrive. For late diagnosed autistic adults, that means unlearning years, if not decades, of stigma and shame and replacing it with pride and confidence in who we are. Okay, quit believing all the BS that's out there and all these theories and everything that is going on. Okay, one of the things that popped in my mind, I was on an interview lately on Ascend TV, which there's a link to it in the community or post section of my YouTube channel, and I'll be adding that video to my interviews playlist probably tomorrow. We kind of touched on this, and the interview was taped before the big announcement on Monday about Tylenol connection. and we talked about this, and I said we being the autistic community, should be getting our information about autism from scientists, from doctors who study this and done research, who have credible research on it, um, and not from talking heads. There was a meme that went around during COVID. I love this meme. I wish I saved it, but I didn't. And the picture of the castaways on Gilligan's Island, and it's in reference to COVID, okay? And the caption of the text on it said, "Even the millionaire knew to listen to the scientist." And you could say there was a little political poke in there back in 2020, but the point is, we don't need to listen to anyone except experts in the field. And an expert is somebody who has a degree, whether it be a medical degree, a scientific degree, something like that, and lived experiences from people who are on the spectrum. We need to listen to those voices as well. Not somebody who had been put into a position of power or leadership or has a platform where they're not on the spectrum. They are coming up with their own theories and spouting it, and they have an aura of credibility because of their job title or their position in our society. Stop listening to the wrong voices, okay? The other thing I like to mention, I've seen in the past few days, I don't get on social media that much, I don't like it, but there's been so many funny memes about this. And that's a great way to deal with this. Don't let it get to you, don't let it suppress you. Appropriately, have fun with it, okay? I saw a meme that has a picture of a building that has a sign Tylenol up at the top. And this is a meme, that's not a real thing. And a sign underneath there that said, "We hire autistic people." And I saw another meme that had a picture of a half-eaten candy bar where you can see the inside of the candy bar. Had a Tylenol pill in it with a note that said, "Parents, watch your kids' Halloween candy for hidden autism." It's just people are just having a field day with this. You can find fun in anything, but the important thing is, make sure it's from a credible source. There's so much out there on the internet nowadays that are fake information. You cannot believe everything you read or hear on the internet. Anything I say in the video, don't take it at face. And now, if I'm explaining my own life, my own experiences, yes, you could trust that. But anything that I say about autism or research or treatments or any of the diagnosis, symptoms, and all, I do my research, but I don't mind if you go and get a second opinion. It does not bother me. And if you can show me that I made a mistake, I'll admit it. I'll do a video and I'll own it and I'll correct it. Okay? Because even though I do my due diligence and researching what I do out here, mistakes can happen because I'm a human being. Human beings are flawed. No human being is perfect. In fact, there's no such thing as a perfect human being unless you have this definition. A perfect human being is someone who is unique and authentically themselves, and that includes being authentically autistic. So, I babbled for a while. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these theories or any other theories that you've heard of, and we can have a little discussion about that or any other questions that you have. And before we wrap this up, and while I'm waiting for any of that to come in, let me tell you about something that you could get that would be kind of cool. It is a free PDF. It's a 28-page PDF that help break down autism and gives you some actionable steps that you could take to start to discover, develop, and grow your self-confidence as an autistic adult. It's a free resource. It's available on my site. It has reflection questions in it as well. And I just put the link to it in the chat. And it's free. I mean, you get this resource and all, and you will be subscribed to my newsletter, which comes out pretty much twice a week. Tuesday and Thursday is what I'm shooting for. That will let you know what's going on this channel and anything else that you need to be aware of from me, the Confident Autistic. So I encourage you to get that as well. Excuse me. So it's free. And remember, if you're not completely satisfied with it, you can cancel your subscription to my newsletter very easily and get a full refund. Note, remember, it's free. So your refund's going to be nothing because you did not have to pay anything for it, right? All right. So, what myths have you heard about autism? How have these affected you? These are the questions I like to open this conversation up for. How they affected you, your family, or your journey as an autistic adult. Share those in the chat. We'll hang around here for a few more minutes, like for that, and all. And now tomorrow, as long as nothing goes wacky for me, I'm gonna have a new video up, a very special video. It's gonna be part of. We're relaunching a lot of things that falls here. We are relaunching the My Autistic Journey series, where you get to know me a little bit more personally, appropriately, but personally. So it'll be a big video coming up tomorrow. I'm hoping to have it live by 3 o'clock Central Time tomorrow. So be checking for that. Getting ramped up to do a new podcast called Live Confidently Autistic, the podcast. And I'm thinking the first episode will be live. I'm hoping October 14th. That's my goal. Yeah. So that will be coming. It's going to have guests on there that's going to help you live confidently autistic. And what I mean by this is this. The expression live confidently autistic means this. If we want to live confidently autistic, there's two things we have to do. One, we need to understand autism as late diagnosed autistic adults. So anyone suspect they're autistic or self-identifying, everyone's welcomed. And two, we need to know about the resources out there that help us. Because everyone needs a little help in their lives. So this is what the podcast is going to be about. And we'll be going live in the first episode is scheduled for I think October 14th is what I'm shooting for. So uh, mark that on your calendar. I'm putting a link in here right now that will tell you more about the podcast and help you find where it is on podcast players. That's going to be updated because it's a long story, but there's some technical stuff in the background that I had to change and all. But that will give you an idea of the podcast and all, and go check that out. But yeah, that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And that's coming. So fall's here. We're out of summer. We're back into fall. It's they say it's the most wonderful time of year. I don't care for fall. I don't like transition. I don't like changes anyway. So I would like to thank you for joining me tonight, and I want to share with you that this is the bottom line. Autism isn't caused by Tylenol. By the way, I got to get this out of my system. I am surprised, and it would not be surprised if this happened, if Tylenol sued somebody for their claims this week. But we won't go into that. That's political, so we're going to stay away from it. So here's the bottom line. Autism isn't caused by Tylenol. I have a friend of mine. I know somebody who is a mom, and one of her children is on the spectrum. And when she heard this, she came a little bit unglued, and rightfully so, because she never took one single Tylenol during the pregnancy of any of her children. So she was very upset, and rightfully so. Because now parents feeling they have to defend themselves. That's not true. I did not take Tylenol. And then there could be some parents, your parent, could be saying, oh my God, I caused my kids autism, which is a horrible feeling for parents to blame that. As I mentioned before, I have a constricted aorta. I was born with that. I was exposed to the German measles. And even though it's never said to me directly, it's been relayed to me. My mom, from what I understand, blames herself for my disabilities, my vision and my heart condition, etc. And I've never blamed her, but she blames herself. And the story that we know, or I've been told how it happened, is my mom worked at a school, and a student may have came to school and was in her class that had measles, and she was pregnant with me, and she was exposed. That was not her fault. That wasn't. And she blamed herself, and it's horrible. I don't want my mom to blame herself. I've told her I don't blame you for what happened to me. It was meant to be. And so If you are an autistic adult, late diagnosed, and you see your mom or parents blame themselves, that is, that you're autistic, if this is honestly how you feel, if you don't blame them, you need to tell them that. They need to hear those words. So the bottom line is this: autism isn't caused by Tylenol, vaccines, parenting, or diet. Autism is a part of human diversity. And instead of chasing myths, let's focus on creating a world where autistic people, whether diagnosed as children or much later in life, can live confidently, autistically, and proudly. And that is pretty much for me. Whoa, just a little bit more. I have something else to say. I just realized something. I do. Let me get my thoughts together here. Okay, here we go. My thoughts coming in. There we are. So thank you for being here tonight. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe to this channel, which we talked about a little bit earlier tonight. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. And when you do, don't forget to hit that bell so you'll be notified of new videos when they go up and when we go live Thursday nights. So be sure to subscribe and check out my newsletter, which the link to that is in there. That's where you get the free resource of Live Confidently Autistic, 7 steps to start living as a confident autistic adult. Um, and check out my website as well, theconfidentautistic.com, for more resources. And remember, you have nothing to feel guilty about. Autism is not your fault. It's not your parents' fault. It's just a natural part of the human experience. And autism is not a tragedy. It's a part of who we are. And we should embrace that and share with the world so the world would be more accepting of autism. One of the reasons I do this channel is this. Okay, there's 2 reasons. One, well, maybe more than two, but 2 that leap into my mind right now. One is to share my experiences, kind of way I express myself. Okay, and 2, I have a great nephew who is on the spectrum, and one thing that I like to have as my legacy in my life is that I did something to try to make the world more accepting and accommodating for him when he grows up. And that's very, very important to me. So thank you so very much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. I really do. You can see something pop up here. There you are. And I will see you in the next video. And thanks again for checking out. Let's see. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Trish. It means a lot to me. So yeah, thank you for taking the time to check this out. And I will talk to you in the next video. And if all goes well, I'll be back next Thursday night, 6 p.m. Central Time for another live stream. So stay tuned for that. Have a great evening, everyone, and talk to you all soon. And remember, make time to live confidently autistic.